Hi, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying these, then I have to review them online. So this review is going to be for the Avengers versus New Ultimates, Ultimate Comics, whatever, Death of Spider-Man, number 6. This is written by Mark Millar and penciled by Lionel Francis Yu. So I jumped on to this series that I really hadn't been caring about previously. In the last issue, in the same week of the death of Spider-Man or whatever, and I got interested in it because there were some hulked out versions of Hawkeye and the Punisher and some other guys, Nick Fury. And so I wanted to see what happened with that, what resolved with that, and there was a big reveal about the Spider-Man clone more or less being Asian. So that was interesting too. It's a potential new Ultimate Spider-Man guy. But this was kind of the result of Gregory Stark, Tony Stark's apparent older brother, trying to take over the planet. Slowly, you know, making S.H.I.E.L.D. global or whatever, which is kind of interesting. But unsuccessfully. And there are some pretty huge plot turns in here where Tony ultimately turns off his brother's technology, and then Thor kills him, and then Tony's all pissed about him dying because he loved him anyway, even though he was kind of like a supervillain. What's interesting about Greg is, I don't know if it's been brought up before, but he looks a lot like the Beyonder with this all-white outfit, especially with the top of his blonde hair cut off. And all his crazy powers. He actually takes Thor's hammer from Thor and shatters Captain America's shield. So I think that's awesome that it can happen, especially in this Ultimate Universe. That stuff doesn't typically happen in the regular universe unless, you know, it's really scripted out and a really like big blockbuster book. But in here it can happen all over the place, and a little bit of deaths can happen too. It's not something you also see. I usually complain about is people actually getting hurt or dying in these books. And then you get some wrap-up kind of story about Carol Danvers stepping down from S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury taking over, which is kind of a step backwards, I feel like. I think he could have his own organization and be fine. He doesn't really need to have S.H.I.E.L.D. to be that way. And then you get at the very end the Black Widow talking about what happened to all the characters. She's sitting there typing an email to Nick Fury, apparently in a tube top and a thong, with her kid in the room. I guess she's in her underwear, but I don't know a lot of girls that sit around in a tube top. And the reason why I mention that is like one of, if not the last panel of her doing that, looks very much like she is not wearing any clothes at all. Now, whether or not that is intentional or not, it sure comes across that way. But I was like, wow, is she naked? And then I looked back and saw that she was wearing this weird tube top. And then down here you can tell that she's definitely not wearing any pants, unless they're flesh tone pants. But I thought that was kind of interesting, the way that she's hanging out. I didn't know she had a kid in this either, but, you know, what difference does that really make? So, was the fight as good as it was building up to be? It was alright. I could see the script of the fight being really great, but a lot of the ways that it was drawn, like you get a lot of characters in the same panel standing or posing, and you don't get a whole lot of kind of action. There's a little action in here, but not a ton. So it was kind of confusing as to what exactly is happening in each of these mass brawl kind of fight scenes. So it makes you kind of wonder exactly how all this is moving on or whatever. But anyway, it was okay. It wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, and I'm glad that I didn't get stuck doing more of these issues. I generally like Millar and Yu's work all over the place, but I feel like these teams in the Ultimate Universe are so far out there that I don't even keep track of who all these characters are or how important it is anymore. Oh, and one other comment in here. Besides this ridiculous giant the crappy ad, which is in every Marvel book this week. It's the equivalent of DC's Subway ad. And then in one of the books that I bought, it went from this to this. So you got a double dose of that same thing. It's not this one because there's a page between it. But in one of my books where it went straight from that to that, and you're like, really? You couldn't even space out those two ads? They have to be right next to each other, one page and then the next? And they're giant, giant ads for some Captain America Wrigley fruit gum kind of situation that who cares about, right? Anyway, the last point I was going to make is when she's talking about, when she's nakedly talking about what's happening with people, they show Spider-Man's funeral here, and I had not read Fallout before this, so I was expecting to see some kind of similar situation as to what they showed there about what the funeral is, but apparently that's not the funeral. That's some kind of memorial that a few people went to. You'll see in the other one, the Ultimate Fallout issue, that there was a huge funeral which a ton of people went to, which was much better than that. So I'm going to give this book a 3 out of 5. This is Avengers vs. New Ultimates number 6. It's 3 out of 5. I'm thinking it's 6 of 6, but I don't really know. I probably won't be keep going with this book as much as I like the major players that are involved, because I don't like the characters that are involved with these teams. So there you go. 3 out of 5. I'm sure somebody loved it, thought it was the best book of the week, but that wasn't me. So if you like this review and want to see others, look for any video reviews, punch in the comic book that you're thinking of, and video reviews by Peteparker, and it'll probably come up on Google more or less. And you can also check on YouTube under Spidey207, that's me, and then Peteparker elsewhere, like iFanboy and Comic Vine and the Marvel and DC databases. I may or may not be doing these next week just because I'll be out in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con, so if I'm not here, rest assured I will make up for it when I get back. In any case, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.